Hello everyone and welcome back again to the CRM Carpenter tutorial series. And in today's video, I will teach you how you can generate an access token that will help you connect different Zoho applications. Like in today's video, we will connect Zoho Books to our Zoho CRM. For example, you can also create this generating of access token in Zoho Flow and another Zoho application. And so to begin that, let's get ready our function, a standalone function right here. That what you can see is a standalone function created inside the CRM. And let's begin preparing the keys that we will be needing to generate the access token. So first is the client ID. For now, let's leave it as empty string. And client secret equals empty string as well. And to get those client ID and client secret of your Zoho organization, you're going to go with your Zoho API console. Just type Zoho API console in your browser, and in our case, we will be using the self client. And it will ask you to authorize your Zoho API console, and just click create. And there it is. We have our client ID and our client secret. First, copy the client ID and paste it into your client ID variable. And do the same with client secret. Next, what we're going to get is the generate code. But to begin that, to get that, we need to fill up the code expiry duration to 10 minutes and also the scope. And the scope depends on the API endpoint that you will initiate. So in our test case, we were just going to use the get contact from the Zoho Books. So the scope to get the contacts from the Zoho Books is just the Zoho Books.contact.read. And if we click create, just give a small description that can specify what your goal to generate the code. So copy the code. And next is create a variable for that generated code that we fetch from the Zoho API console. And next is create a variable for the generate access token URL. And this is the authorization link for generating the access token URL, and we will just replace the client ID value with the client ID and client secret that we have prepared a while ago. So it will pull the value of the client ID, client secret, and generated code. So this is the invoke URL for generating the access token. And then let's execute. It says invalid code. Maybe there's something wrong with our generated code, because a while ago we have tested it, and so generated code can only be used once. So we need to generate another one. Just a tip, just always make sure that the generated code's client ID and client secret should be only privately stored and cannot be shared publicly. So let's execute again, and there we have the correct response. What important thing or token we need is the first is the refresh token. So let's copy the refresh token. Let's put it inside into a variable. So refresh token equals the token that we have just copied. So let's prepare again the same client ID and client secret. And now we will create a refresh parameter map. So refresh params that put grant type. So the value of the grant type will be refresh token as string, not the variable we have in the line 17. And next is refresh params that put, so the key is refresh token, and now the value of the refresh token will be the variable we have in line 17. Next is the refresh params that put so the key will be client ID and copy the variable. So the variable client ID will be the value. So there's a reason why we have also add the client ID and client secret to line 18 and line 19, even so we have this already in line 4 and 5. So this is the invoke URL for getting the access token. Please make sure in the URL that wherever you are, the data center would be the right data center for you. So if you are in the US, it's only be accounts.zoho.com, and if you are in Europe, it's accounts.zoho.com.eu, and if you are in Australia, it's going to be zoho.com.au. And since we're not in neither Australia or Europe, we're going to use the accounts.zoho.com. So there it is. We comment out the top part because we're going to generate the access token, and we don't need anymore the generated codes, client ID, and client secret in the top part. So we have executed correctly the access token, and now what we're going to do is to get a customer's contact name in Zoho Books by the use of this endpoint. And this is where we're going to use the access token, because it needs to be used as important authorization to call the API endpoint for getting a contact in Zoho Books. So at first, we will prepare the customer name as blank, and one thing that we should also have is the org ID. So the org ID will be located in your browser's URL in Zoho Books. And that's it. And now let's prepare the headers. So headers map equals map So it's headers map that put authorization Zoho token plus the access token. And let's paste the response in book URL for getting the customer's name. So we will test it out. Let's try. So let's try creating adding the customer ID. So the customer ID is also shown in your URL in Zoho Books contacts page. And now we have all the ingredients to generate the URL or the endpoint. So after executing the Zoho API Books contacts, we will make sure if the response that will contain key a contact and contact info equals response that get contact. So customer name will be equals the contact info. So if it's null, then the value will be a string. But if it has a contact name, it will get the contact name. And let's return the customer name and see what will happen. So we should be expecting Mr. John Doe will shown in our response once we execute the function. And let's see, we got it correctly, Mr. John Doe and Mr. John Doe from the Zoho Books. So those are the things that you need to create or prepare for getting for authenticating the other Zoho application. So the client ID, the client secret, the generated code, the refresh token, the access token. Those are the important things that we need to get or fetch. So thank you for watching this video. We hope that this would be a very helpful guide to you. Thank you for watching, and God bless.